Alright, for those of you who've been following these messages, picking them up for yourself, you'd have got another one today. This one, as a result of decoding the Omega Grid Beacon 4. Again, from Captain Saskia Landau of ACT, saying, "Commander, with your assistance, we have solved a year-long mystery, the whereabouts of Emperor Arissa Lavigne Duval. The message found in the Zaujin system confirms that the Lords of Restoration ordered Darkwater troops to abduct the Emperor and keep her captive. This implies that their agents within Imperial Intelligence have been falsifying her communication with the Senate ever since. Specialist operatives have now been dispatched to locate and recover Her Majesty. On behalf of ACT, thank you for playing a vital part in this work, Captain Saskia Landau." So yeah, okay, there's been some speculation that we might get a CG this week to go and retrieve Arissa, or at some point a rescue CG to go and try and find her escape pod, since ACT have needed help with everything else. They might need help with finding her as well. It's unlikely to be this week though, because this week is going to be the next stage of the Colonia Bridge project. But yeah, Arissa's becoming the Emperor was always a point of contention right from the start. Hengist rejected his son Harold, father of Aisling, saying that he was not of sound mind and he was reckless and a playboy and not suitable Empire material. Which, to be fair to Harold, he was. Reckless and a playboy and living a very hedonistic lifestyle. Not sure exactly why that excludes him from being an emperor. I thought he'd be overqualified. But anyway. So, Harold was out of the picture. And Arissa, I think, was kind of put in there by the Senate. And her being placed as the emperor has always been a point of contention. So you can see with hindsight that it was probably deliberately done that way so that they could one day make a story out of it if they wanted to. Now, she was all for stability and carrying on. In fact, she even insisted on being called Emperor rather than Empress, because she thought that would give the position a state of continuity that her legitimacy couldn't provide. Amazing that we still actually care about things like legitimacy in the 34th century, but apparently, if you're a royal, these things are important. So, yeah, you have to be inbred to the right people. So her entire period of rule has been one where her right to even be emperor has been questioned on and off all the way through it. And to give credit to Arissa, one of the reasons why she's been such an effective emperor is that she's not scared to tackle problems head on. Whereas Aisling, by contrast, appears only on the lighter, more fluffy chat shows where she doesn't have to answer any of the hard questions. So if you need someone who can make the tough decisions, then Arissa is obviously a far better candidate than Aisling for Emperor, if you're going to carry on with that structure and have an Emperor. It looks like this looks more and more like a coup now, that various members of the Empire thought, right, we'll get the Emperor out of the way. And you might ask, well, why didn't they just kill her? If the Emperor dies, then the Senate can quickly appoint a replacement from the other candidates and would likely rapidly settle on either Aisling or Hadrian. Even though Hadrian was disavowed, that can be counterbalanced by the fact that Arissa is also illegitimate and has no more right to the throne than anyone. And so, rather than have a big wrangling argument about that, Hadrian might actually get to be the emperor, either that or Aisling. Hector, of course, is still a baby, but if they put either Aisling or Hadrian or Hector as a regent, they can, with a regent rather, they can then move rapidly to solidify their position, name their heirs, and establish some kind of continuity. And if you want a proper succession crisis, either the sort in which a senator with too high an opinion of their own intelligence might believe they have a chance at the top prize, or one in which it's decided, for lack of candidates with majority support, to scrap the Emperor entirely and have rule by the Senate, then you have to kill the Emperor last. So, courtesy of Ian Doncaster, a few thoughts on this, which I find myself agreeing with. The big question here, Chancellor Blaine has been telling us that the Emperor is alive and well and communicating remotely with the Senate. So he's obviously part of it or part of covering it up. Which is it? Is he in on the plot? Is he fooled by Ursula in a wig? Thank you, Ian, for that one. That's hilarious. Or is he not in on it, but knows full well what's going on, and he's been trying to avoid a widespread panic? As an aside, Ian Doncaster has also pointed out the similarities between the Lords of Restoration and the League of Reparation. Pretty similar names, both with access to superpower level dark comms networks, and both with a habit of assassinating high-ranking officials across all three superpowers. So does this go even higher? The League of Reparation goes back to INRA, and INRA killing off the Thargoids with the mycoid virus at the end of the first Thargoid War. The League of Reparation assassinated the descendants of INRA, and it was started by someone called Riri McAllister. She was the original creator of the League of Reparation. She claimed that she was a direct descendant of Commander John Jameson, and it was her duty to avenge his death at the hands of INRA. So the League of Reparation went round basically murdering the descendants of anybody who used to work for INRA. Perhaps, you could read in a little bit of similarities there. Certainly not afraid to have a go at senators, assassinate them, and get into all sorts of dodgy stuff. Does this go further? I think I tend to agree with the idea that Blaine is not in on the plot, but has been desperately trying to cover things up while hoping that someone can figure out where the Emperor is, what's happened to her, and who's behind it all. But this lends more and more credibility to the idea that the NMLA could have been set up by the Empire in the first place to stage exactly this kind of coup. Get the Emperor out of the way for a while, bomb a few stations for the look of the thing, create and use this terrorist group as a kind of fall guy, a patsy, never expecting their communications network to get hacked and for their part in it to be exposed. All sorts of ways this can go. It would be nice if the players themselves got a chance to be in on it. I think that would be great. If we got a chance to try and find the Emperor and get involved in it that way. I hope the story isn't just taken out of our hands now and it comes into Galnet saying, yeah, they found the Emperor and she's alive and well, or they found the Emperor but unfortunately she's been in cryosleep for so long that even if we can bring her back, she'll have lost her faculties, so she'll need replacing anyway. I would expect to see a few arrests coming up. Carl Nerva, Ursula, Alberto, at least, possibly others as well. This mercenary group, I can see them coming in for some flack, but then I can also see them getting away with it because they were mercenaries and only doing what someone else pays them for, Guns don't kill people, people kill people. It's not the fault of the mercenary group, it's the fault of the people who hired them. Have to see what develops on that. Really hope they don't sit on this story for too long. But yeah, okay, that looks like it for now from this. The paper trail has now gone cold. We gotta wait and see what ACT are gonna do next. And find out whether we will have a part to play in that or not. In the meantime, the Salvation narrative is still ongoing and that could come back at any time. And also, we've got this Colonia Bridge project to try and provide a pathway of megaships from Sol all the way up to Colonia as a sort of set of service stations on the Neutron Superhighway. So that's all coming up on Thursday. Also in the Galnet news today, the final collapse of Aegis being shut down completely, despite the fact that Azimuth is back. And a development on the Salvation story, even if that story itself is not continuing at the moment. Most senior military figures have switched focus to Aegis' controversial rival Salvation, despite his mysterious nature. As one Imperial Navy admiral succinctly put it, Salvation's methods have proved more effective in counteracting the Thargoid threat. Also, it looks like crews don't have to leave, naval personnel don't have to leave their commissions with the superpowers. It says here that the Alliance, Federal and Imperial fleets have opened channels of secondment so that they can go and work for Salvation if they like without giving up their current commissions. So it looks like the superpowers are throwing their weight behind Salvation as the future and best counteraction to the Thargoids, and it looks like any moving on of the Thargoid story is going to come through this alliance. But at least they will be doing a memorial service to honour Captain Jacob Morales of the Alexandria and the other people who died, which is great, but also very sad because it really does look like that is the final nail in the coffin, and Aegis is now no more. Set up to fail from the start, and it really does look like it was only ever going to end this way, no matter what we tried to do to help them. And it wasn't as if the community goals where we were contributing, we didn't do anything, because, you know, all of those reached top tier and Aegis got full support from the player base, but they were destined to go, and gone they are. So, what will Salvation do to move the story on a bit? Will the Thargoid threat be counteracted and defeated once and for all? Or will we have a new enemy, and I've been dying to say this, in the Salvation army?